Hello everyone, Josh MC2000 here. It's been a while since I've done a 40k video, but I thought I ought to just do a simple one talking about what's coming down the track. Because I do like myself some Astra Militarum. Krieg are my favourite regiment, and it looks like this edition we are getting all of the trimmings. We are finally being brought up in plastic to the same place that the Cadians were last edition. So first of all, we have the preview for next week. This is what's going to be on pre-order. We've already seen the contents of the box. Engineer squad, a lot of horses, and an artillery piece. I kind of wish the command squad was in this box because there's no HQ as it is. But, to be honest, it's nice to see these finally being brought into plastic, because I'm going to be honest, I always rather cynically held the opinion that I don't think they ever will bring the Death Riders to plastic because the amount of money they can just milk from the Forge World release. So they've brought them over. They look like they're going to be an equivalent to the Rough Rider kits. So you can play these or your Rough Riders. To be honest, the contents of this box, along with if you buy the Command Squad separately when they release, you should pretty much be able to run the new Combat Patrol and Combat Patrol if that's something you care about. To be honest, I have been looking to try and get some Combat Patrol games because they're shorter, simpler. It's a nice way to onboard friends as well. I have a friend of mine that I'm trying to get into the game, and we will be having a go with Combat Patrol to start us off. The only thing I need to do at the moment in order to make that happen is to actually acquire a board that is the right size. Because unfortunately I didn't get mine with the Leviathan box when I ordered it at the start of the edition, because they didn't send it to the store that I ordered it from. So yeah, that's neither here nor there, but I can find a nice one kind of similar to the card playing mats. There's several online which should do the trick. Either that, or I figure out the maths of how many kill team boards I need to put together or something, because I'm pretty sure the kill team boards are slightly smaller. But I don't know. We can figure it out. You've also got these extra bits and pieces here, some Middle-earth stuff that I'm not overly worried about. The next article is just, hey guys, remember the Deathcore books exist. I am going to do a video on Siege of Varax at some point for Audio Anarchy, because I have some opinions on this book. Not negative ones, but I do feel Krieg suffers from the fact that they are only really written by one person, which is Stephen Lyons. Nothing against Stephen Lyons. I like Dead Men Walking, I like Krieg, but it's noticeable when there's one person writing the books and they all start to feel a bit samey. I think for a faction, you need to have maybe a couple of people writing it, but we still have, as a sub-regiment of Guard, we still have equally as many books as Necrons, which I'm not going to complain too much. I just wish maybe we'd let Steve take a break and give someone else a snap at it, get a different taste of it. Because Krieg, there's a couple of different angles you can take with Krieg, and Steve takes one specific angle. I would be very interested to see somebody else have a stab at it and see what they could do with it. I mean, he's veered away from the way he normally portrays them in Siege of Varax, which is something I wanted to talk about, which I'll go into in more detail when I do the video. And then we have a little sneak peek at some of the data sheets for the officers, which is the kind of the big thing that I wanted to talk about with this video. So let's kick off, shall we? We've got the Cadians first. So it looks like we have a rule preview for the heavy weapon team and a rule preview for one of the officers. So we have Cadia stands, which is attached to, I believe this is either the commander of the command squad or I think it's the commander of the command squad. It's not the Castellum. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised Krieg didn't get a single HQ unit, like a separate commissar or a marshal to go, because the Cadians have the Castellum, but maybe that will come in time. So we have covering fire for the heavy weapon squad, which is each time you target this unit with the fire overwatch stratagem, while resolving stratagem hits are scored on unmodified hits of 4 or unmodified hits of 5 or 4 instead of within 6 inches of I've probably made a complete mess of reading that. To be honest, I was having this discussion with a friend of mine the other day. GW rules are unfortunately word soup. They're not very clearly written. There are ways you could take this and rewrite it in an easier way, probably. I was explaining to my friend, I believe it was the rule on... I think it was the rule... It was the rule on one of my Chaos models, I think. I think it was on one of my CSM units. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, I was saying, like, hey, this is how it's written. But, like, you know, if you wanted to write it in a more clear way, this is probably what it would mean. Then we have Cadia stands, which is, while this unit contains an officer, each time a ranged attack targets this unit, if this unit is within range of an objective marker, you control models in this unit have the benefit. Models you control in this unit have the benefit of cover against that attack. Okay. So my point about word soup, how you could reword this is, while this unit contains an officer, while in range of an objective marker, you gain the benefit of cover when taking attacks or when being hit by attacks. There's clearer ways you could word it. Now that's just me coming up with it off the top of my head. I don't know why the rules for 40k feel so overwritten sometimes, especially when we were going into an edition that was meant to be simplifying things. You think a big part of the problem would be cutting down on jargon and like making it flow better. To be honest, it's the main criticism I have with 40k as a whole. Never mind just 10th edition. Like this was a problem in 9th edition. You know, like the remembering 40 stratagems was still a problem, but like the wording of them and kind of the I'm sitting here having to decipher it was kind of the issue. So yeah, the other thing as well with the Death Corps, I don't entirely know why they made the Commissar part of the HQ unit for the command squad. I'd kind of rather they'd have just had the Commissar be a separate model and then had just like a standard Krieg officer. I mean, like the cadet, the Commissar cadet's cool, but like I'd just much rather it be a standard like officer, and then you have like the Commissar as a separate unit that you can run, like, you know, besides, I don't know, like Commissars aren't really meant to be part of the command structure, they exist outside of it. So having them be kind of like the poster child for the command squad for the Krieg is a little bit strange. Unless GW are trying to consolidate the idea that Krieg Commissars, or Commissars attached to Krieg rather, have a very different role and function very differently. I don't know, maybe that's what they're trying to hammer home, that like, hey, in a Krieg regiment, a Commissar is more like another officer. Like, they're just from off-world, so they have a different view on things. but I don't know. Like I kind of preferred it when the Commissar was a separate kit, and also I would have liked to have seen the officers retain the old gas mask style. I'm going to be honest. I think the board and the barbed wire is nice, but I think the stance and the some of the design work from the other Commissar from Forge World is a bit better. I know maybe it's a personal thing, but I just like on the officers. I prefer them having the over the back gas masks and the kind of like the more British style, like gas masks. I don't know, it's just a personal thing. So yeah, heavy weapons team, quite nice. Bit weird that they don't have a las cannon option. I don't know if it's the same for the new Cadian kits. The majority of, I'm gonna be honest, I originally kind of dug my heels in and said like, hey, I'm not doing a guard army, and then I ended up picking up 2 boxes of Krieg for kill team to make all the options, and then I picked up another box of Krieg and a tank and a Commissar, and I just basically said, okay, sorry, I can do like 500 points during 9th edition, and I, basically looking to bring it up to a sensible roster size with the Krieg box. But yeah, the heavy weapons team, so the majority of my play experience with finishing off that point that I nearly moved on from, half finished, was that basically the majority of my play experience with Guard are in Dawn of War. So it's a bit weird they don't have the las gun option on the heavy weapon team. I guess maybe they're trying to push the idea that your tanks are what are supposed to deal with vehicles, not the heavy weapons guys. These guys are supposed to sit on a lane and mow down infantry. I think that's kind of what they're trying to go for. But anyway, they have final duty, which is while this unit contains a fire coordinator, which is a separate little model they've shown off somewhere. Each time a heavy weapon gunner model is destroyed, roll 1d6 on a 4 up, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can shoot after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, and is then removed from play. So basically you get a kind of a last act of defiance. This is kind of similar to death befitting an officer on a tank commander. It's not a new rule for Guard, it's kind of it's something that's been shown before with the, hey, you get kind of like a last act of defiance to fire back. And I've already read Grim Determination on my off time, because this was the first one I saw that kind of got me to look to make this video, which it's basically you can ignore battle shock with putting stratagems on the unit, because, hey, they're Krieg, they don't really care if they're being pinned down by fire, they're just, carry on anyway. Which makes sense. And also, you've got a Commissar over your shoulder, so you're going to do your job, aren't you? Because he can shoot you. Right, so then we have the Catachans, and can I just say, you see the difference in quality between the old resin and the plastic, don't you? I don't know, nothing against the guys that play Catachan. It's a look. I too like the film Predator, so see, they've got las cannons. So if you want, if that's your thing, I'd personally recommend going third-party models, personally. I don't know, it's that just the standard Catachan infantry, they're showing their age a bit. But yeah, your rules you got is bring it down, which is each time a model in this unit makes a range attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, reroll hits of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Yeah, bring it down is nothing new for the Imperial Guard. It's existed for a while. I think it used to be a stratagem. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because when I first started playing them, they were still on the 8th edition Codex, the one with the Commissar on the cover. Yeah, and you've also got a Gun-Ho Command, which is while this unit contains an officer, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit have the assault ability. Which, yep, that's fair. Neat little thing to add to your guard, which kind of pushes the idea. Like, Catachan, I think, can only take flamers as special weapon options. So I think it kind of pushes the idea you kind of want to be up in their face, firing flamers into them to kind of give you the extra light hits from the assault. So yeah, interesting they've not shown off scions because we had the detachment from Grotmus, which is still valid, which is the basically your Tempestus Scion Tempestus Scion detachment. Yeah, it's basically your Tempestus Scion detachment. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. This is very much just I'm looking at the articles and just chatting kind of thing. It's not going to be a highly produced video, but I must admit I do like the Astra Militarum, and I've not talked about 40k in a while, so I thought this would be a good way to actually just talk about it. They've also given us like a little lore reminder for those of you that don't know the deal with Krieg. I must admit, I do prefer the artwork on the standard Codex to the to the one we're getting in the box. This is probably a mild bit of heresy or blasphemy, whichever you prefer. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I just think that's better artwork than the old style Kriegers, just kind of stood there. And I also feel this has more relation to the how they look now, and the new design. No, I'm not necessarily an expert on World War One stuff, but I think the mask is meant to. Is it still meant to be the British designed mask, or is it meant to be because I know they have the puttees that are British. The coat is meant to be French. If you couldn't tell, because it's blue and they have it folded over how the French did. And most notably, the French aren't German, so it's kind of the reason it always used to chafe me that in the audiobooks they always gave Krieg a German accent. Sorry, not French. Because it's yes, the planet's name is Krieg. Krieg is war for German. Krieg is the word war in German. But, it's also one of those things where it's they're based off World War One as a whole, not specifically Germany. There's clear design elements from other World War One armies in here. I mean, the helmet's definitely German with the, but the coats and other things aren't, and it's always something that's kind of chafed me that GW hasn't tried to shake the perception of they're just Germans in space. I must admit that's another thing I liked about the Siege of Vrax audiobook. It was actually not these really phony German accents. Actually made it a lot more tolerable to listen to than to be honest, Dead Men Walking wasn't too bad because you had a lot of non-Krieg characters, but listening to the audiobook for Krieg itself was a bit trying at times because some of the German accents weren't very good. But yeah, while we're here, let's actually look at the other models because I've just seen this shown up here. So yeah, that's the cover for the release codex. That's the one for the special edition one. I'm gonna be honest. I genuinely prefer the release cover. I don't know. It might seem a bit silly, really, but yeah. Oh wait, no, never mind. I stand corrected. You have got a HQ in this box because I forgot about this gentleman. Who is a named Krieg commander on a horse. I guess the idea was they don't really want us taking Solar Leontus into battle because he's meant to be a Cadian commander. I mean, he's technically the commander of the entire Astra Militarum, but is he really going to come down and muddy that fancy uniform with the Krieg? I don't think so. So we've got our named horse commander that goes with your Death Riders. I wonder if there's going to be options in the kit to do him as a generic commander. I Because we did used to have a generic commander on Forge World for horses. I think it was Death Rider. It was a Death Rider commander, something like that. Either that or it was a Death Rider Commissar. I can't remember. Either that or it was both. I'm not too sure. This, to be honest, the reason I didn't want to do Guard originally, back in the day, was because I knew there were Krieg War Forge World other than the infantry kit. And it's like, if I do Guard, I kind of don't want to... Like, I don't want to do Cadians. The aesthetic doesn't do it for me. I got the Kazakin for Kill Team because their rules looked interesting, but... The design-wise, I prefer the kind of like the sci-fi World War I look of Krieg. I genuinely think it just looks more interesting as a faction. And also it kind of sells the idea that the Imperium isn't very great and they just treat the Guard as cannon fodder. Right. The Engineers, I like the update to this kit. It's very nice. You've got the options of having them with a melee or a las pistol. I'm not a fan of the way they've redesigned the las pistol. I prefer the standard Guard las pistols on the officer for the standard, the standard infantry kit. So I have a feeling I might be looking on eBay for some las guns, because I am not a fan of the Mauser looking las gun. I don't mind them taking certain inspiration from like World War One, World War Two for like Krieg and Armageddon and Steel Legion, but are we just straight up like sticking a skull on a Mauser now? Is that what we're doing? Like, I'm not. Nah, that ain't it, Chief. I'm probably gonna build mine with the shotguns. I assume you probably have the option to do the Sergeant with a shotgun, but we'll have to see. You've also got this little remote mine that one of them is controlling, so I don't know if you can build him as just a guy with a shotgun or if you need to give him this. I will know more when I have this sprue. And then the piece de resistance, the artillery piece. Right, definitely quite happy with this. I will be building it as the long cannon, I think, or looking to see if there's ways I can blue tack it to get at least the short variant as well, because that looks like it's the same assembly, just a different piece on the end of it. So I assume there's a way I can blue tack it to have those two options available. I'm not sure about the quad or this like rocket rack. I assume that's one of those things where like I'd have to reassemble the entirety of the body here. This is the command squad, and as I said earlier, you've got like a commissar as like leading it as an officer. So I don't know. Unless the rules are specifically commissar flavored, I might go out of my way to try and paint this as a regular officer. But I don't know. Or maybe you have the option to just run it with this guy here, and I can paint him as a regular officer, and then we just have the commissar separate as a commissar, or he can be attached to the unit. I don't quite know how they did it, because I know with the Forge World kit, I'm pretty sure the Marshal was detachable from this unit, and like that was how you got your Marshal, because they never sold a Marshal separately, but it still had a data sheet. I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Like, they've retired various Krieg kits over the years to Legends, because I'm pretty sure the Grenadiers had that fate at the start of 10th edition. I'm genuinely keeping my ears to the ground, because I'm curious if there's going to be a kill team kit with Grenadiers, just to polish off the Krieg Elite Infantry, because that was how they did it with Acadian Refresh. You had essentially the Acadian release, and then the next kill team also gave you the Kazakin as like another elite infantry option. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see. That might be how they do that. But you know what? I'm not so sure though, because the engineers also have the use the grenade for free strat, which I'm pretty sure used to be on the grenadiers. So I think basically they've just combined the engineers and the grenadiers into one data sheet, which, I know they both were infantry units that had shotguns, but they fulfilled like very different roles with the abilities they had. These grenadiers like basically chuck grenades, and your engineers could like deep strike with your like the drill, because they'd come in from underground with the drill. Either that, or they'd dig trenches over and like pop up like that. You know, so they filled very different roles in what you were trying to do with them. Because with the engineers, I assume basically strategic wise, you deep strike them in, try and delete something with the shotguns, and if they die, they die, kind of thing. More of a trade piece thing. But the grenadiers were essentially an extra infantry that you could use to just chuck grenades at things. Like, to be honest, I don't really use grenades all that often in 40k, so maybe if I have a squad like these that allow me to chuck grenades at things, maybe I might be a little bit more inclined to actually figure out how grenades work. But it's basically a case of 9 times out of 10 when I'm playing stuff like Death Guard that I used to play during 9th or Necrons, my shooting is normally adequate to kill something, so I don't need to chuck grenades at things. But I don't know, with the Krieg, maybe it'll be a boon to have grenades to just yeet at things to like just finish things off. Like, you know, maybe you fire the shotguns or the las guns into something and it doesn't quite kill it, just chuck a grenade at it, Hail Mary, see if you can kill it, sort of thing. I know that's kind of the thought on that, but you know, I'm very happy with the artillery piece. As pretty much everyone has said, I think this will be good for some dioramas. Like, they've already got some of that on the go here with the studio model. You've got a guy carrying a shell to the bridge. You've got another guy on here who's having a cup of tea, by the looks of it. Because I know from one of the angles you can see a cup of tea just chilling on the side. No, he's working. He's operating the targeting system. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's funny that the Krieg have like cups of tea just randomly thrown about in their kits. I have it on my sniper and spotter in my kill team kit. Just the idea being they're just sat in a place for a long time, so they're like, you know, got a flask with them, just pour the recap out, just stay awake. Like, you know, they're not lounging about. You know, it's got to stay awake, so they make sure they hit the target, haven't they? You know. I know. Going back to the discussion on Stephen's lines is Krieg. The fact that they actually portrayed them as more human is quite nice, because like, I know the memes are like, oh yeah, they'll clog a tank's tracks with their bodies, they don't care. The actual lore is very much more a case of the higher ups don't care. The standard infantry don't get a chance to care. Like, they're basically brainwashed and don't have many other options. But as they get older and become things like the grenadiers or the engineers, they, especially the Death Riders as well, they're the poster child for it. They tend to develop more of a personality, and the higher ups don't tend to like that. Most notable example of it for me in the Commissar Kane books is the Death Riders that save Kane find it hilarious he can't get on a horse, and they just laugh about it to themselves behind their gas masks. And I think it's notably the only time in the Kane books where Kane is actively embarrassed. But it's just like, you know, this is why I want to see other writers get a stab at like Deathcore. Because the idea that like some of the more veteran units develop a personality over time because they've lived long enough to do so, and kind of aren't as brainwashed as the line infantry. You know, like, what does that do to the personality of a regiment? You know, like do the commissars prefer to hang around with the more elite units because, hey, you can actually hold a conversation with one of these guys, unlike the infantry. Like, I don't know. What does it do to the regiment? You know, like, explore that a bit. Like, the thing is, like, Necrons are 3 books in, like 3 full books, and they've really explored and fleshed things out. We're 3 books in, and, well, a bunch of shorts, and so far 1 book and 1 short have tried to flesh some things out and make some things more interesting. Right, so this was the thing the rule was referring to, your, like, dude that allows you to shoot on death. So basically, I assume he is attached to these guys, and you remove him last as these things slowly die out and they fire back. Oh wait, never mind, they do have a las cannon option. Oh yeah, it's the bolter they don't have. Because they have auto cannons and a flamer and a las cannon. Okay, my mistake. When I get my hands on these, I'm probably going to build mine as las cannons, I think. Maybe give me a few more anti-vehicle options. Because I've only got the 2 Russes, and they aren't always necessarily the best, because I have them designed for, like, just general purpose. Built them for just standard battle tank, classic loadout of las cannon, 2 side-sponsored bolters, and then the battle cannon on top. Just kind of how I build these. I've been hanging off on buying heavy weapon squads because it's like, hey, they're going to do Plastic Krieg eventually, right? So sod it, I'll get the ones for my regiment instead of like buying a bunch of guard stuff that isn't my regiment and then just basically being like, oh shoot, now kind of have no point to own these because I can actually get the stuff I want. So, yep. Nice to see a different colour on the greatcoat here with the brown. That's different. We don't tend to... It tends to be either this blue... this blue tends to be the thing that's on the studio models most of the time. And then you might have the red one occasionally from the Kill Team rulebook. No, not red. Green, sorry. The green one from the core rulebook. To be fair, seeing Krieg painted up as with red coats, like red coats, could be quite neat though. But I've already started doing mine as a green, so... This kind of Arctic-y light blue as well is kind of cool. Like, I don't know if you like want to do like a regiment based around, like, you know, I'd have put some snow on that base if you're doing it with that color scheme. Come on, like, you know, you got like the light pale blue and the light blues on the armor and the sponsons. So put like some ice and snow on here. Just have it match the camouflage. Yeah, this is the normal Codex cover that's being released, so yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna stick with the one I get in the box, but that is a nice cover though. Like, from a collection standpoint, if I have the, like, when the edition's over and it becomes cheaper again, because it's the outdated one, I might pick it up just for collection purposes. Like, but anyway guys, that about does it for me yammering on about Krieg. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and enjoyed looking at some of these models. I'm aware it is a bit late for me to be covering this, as these were first announced at the end of last year, but I figured as we're a little bit closer, now would be a good time to talk about it, and hopefully I can get a Warhammer War Journal video done at some point, because I've got a lot of progress done from my... well, just generally on my collection in general over Christmas, because I've been going at it now. I have some spare time just trying to clear through everything. And would you know it, I still haven't cleared the Pile of Shame, and we're adding to it. Although, to be fair, I'm not sure for how long, because as soon as I get the Krieg box, I'm going to crack it open and start working on it. I also have a second tank here that's just come in the mail today. And... the last box of Krieg infantry to put together. Well, I say the last box. I've got 30 infantrymen at the moment, which to more established guard collectors is probably rookie numbers. But, you know, we're just getting into the faction. I just want the first 30 just to run normally. Because I'm going to be running like a 5-man engineer squad and all these Death Riders. Like, my list's probably going to be a bit weird. I'm definitely going to be running the artillery. And it's like, come on, is it really a Krieg list if you're not running RT? Let's be honest. Like, it's World War One themed. You got to have some artillery in there. Like, to be honest, I wasn't an-ahhing about getting a Basilisk, but then I saw that it's online only. To be honest, I was wondering if we were going to get a redo of the Basilisk in this box and have it be something that all regiments can use. But, you know, I'm kind of glad we got the Krieg Pacific artillery piece. Because I'm going to be honest, it just looks neat. I just think that looks better than a black Basilisk, right? That's not just me. Like, that looks nice. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably not going to play this too smartly. I'm just going to park it on my backfield or deployment zone and just yeet shells at things. Like, one thing they haven't shown off as well is a tank commander. So I don't know, maybe I might nick one of these gentlemen off the base of this and use him as a tank commander or something. Because he's doing the whole, like, binoculars and forward thing. So, I don't know. Might see if I can get him to fit in the hatch. But, yeah, I've already signed off once, and I've already had something else grab my attention. So, anyway, that will be it for a little look at the Dev Corps. And I will hopefully have a War Journal video up at some point, updating you all with what I've got done. Because it's quite a lot, actually. I've got through a fair amount. The Leviathan box, apart from a few Tyranid models, is basically done now. A whole 12 months after it released. Just, you know, ignore that fact. And, you know, got a good amount of work on my Necrons done. My Black Legion is pretty much finished now, apart from a few models. And I've got various other things that I've been working on as well, which I will take you through when we get to the video. Anyway, guys, I hope you've had a good time, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.